Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I have the lovely Grant with me today, so I'm not the only one answering the questions. Usual disclaimer, the only experience we've had is our own, so we don't know everything, and I will do my best to answer the questions. I've even brought in reinforcements, but we don't know the answers to everything.
You're far better than this than me, but I'll help
Grant
out
has
when I can.
the memory of a goldfish, so hopefully he'll be able to help out on some of the questions. But I have a little treat for you. I've created a Moving to New Zealand Facebook page, so I'll have the link down below. If you go and join that, we have over 170 members there, so if I can't answer your questions, somebody there will hopefully be able to answer your questions. It's kind of a support group for those moving to New Zealand, and then those who have made the move can obviously share their experience, and hopefully people can connect and make friends as well. So check out the Facebook page, and you can submit questions if you want, but I do have a bunch of these videos which I think has pretty much covered all the questions because they're kind of tailed off now. So I'll link the playlist down below for the other videos as well. Okay, so we'll jump into the questions. I've kind of grouped them into different topics, and the first topic is money. So a few people have asked me about taxes, so I have to ask Grant.
Yeah, what's the question about taxes?
I don't know, I can't remember. I kind of get the questions over time and I make notes. And one of the questions was, how about taxes? I think it was in connection to moving money into the country.
Okay.
But as far as income tax goes, I'll link a website down below that is really helpful because there's different tax brackets depending on how much you earn. So check out that website if you want information on tax in that realm.
Yeah, that's on the Inland Revenue website, and basically it goes from about 10% to 33% tax for individuals, depending on
how much you earn in a year.
How much you earn, yeah.
Yeah. I was also asked about transferring large sums of money, and the question was, how are the banking systems? We opened our bank account with ANZ, it used to be National Bank, when we were still in England, and we transferred our money across then. I know some people they don't want to take the hit of fees when you do that. There's just no getting around it. You have to kind of include it as part of your immigration costs. There's going to be fees when you transfer your money. Try and just do it in one go instead of bits and pieces. That's what we did. I don't know about tax on that money or anything. I can't even remember. Grant did most of the admin stuff. I did like the practical stuff, packing, finding a house, that kind of thing, and he dealt with forms and admin and that kind of thing.
And that whole process was very easy anyway, just to transfer the money, and then when you arrive in the country you just go in with your passport and activate the account, and all your money is waiting for you. Yeah,
it was really secure. We didn't have to worry about anything with regards to that. I had another question about money, which was, I was told it would cost several million New Zealand dollars for proper housing. Is that in the 5 million to 10 million New Zealand range? If you're looking at buying on the North Shore of Auckland, you're going to be looking at millions, but I don't think it would be 10 million. He said for proper housing, and I think by that it's just a proper house that has insulation and isn't leaky and isn't falling apart and isn't in a crappy area. Where you go in the country varies so much. We had no idea. I mean, we had an idea, but it's become ridiculous.
Yeah.
North Shore of Auckland, yeah, you're going to need over $1 million to buy a house. Our house on half an acre in South Taranaki cost well under 200,000. So you don't have to have millions to buy, but it also depends on where you want to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's only like the last few years that this has just skyrocketed.
It's ridiculous. It's out of control.
It's gone crazy.
Okay, the next category is life in New Zealand. Now, the last video like this, I answered the question, how is New Zealand different to South Africa? And I had actually misread the question. The question is, how different is New Zealand to South Africa? How different would you say it is?
The culture is very similar, I think. I feel at home here compared to South Africa. Obviously, the huge difference is the crime. There's
way less crime.
Compared to South Africa.
And it's not as brutal crime. Yeah. I felt kind of it's hard to answer this question because we left South Africa 17 years ago. So it's not like we came from South Africa to here and had like a direct comparison. We had 11 years in England, and England is way different to South Africa, much more so than New Zealand is to South Africa. So I felt like coming here was not like coming home, but there were so many things that resonated from South Africa, from our experiences in South Africa and growing up in South Africa.
Yeah, I think it's the lifestyle though, the outside.
Yeah, really casual.
Sports and casual and
Yeah, similar kind of attitudes and lifestyle.
and almost a bit of a laid back feel to everyone, and
which is a good thing and a bad thing.
yeah.
Yeah. As I mentioned in my pros and cons of living in New Zealand, it's a good thing and a bad thing.
It can be very frustrating trying to get anyone to do anything, like get somebody that comes to do it, like an electrician or something. They're just so laid back, you can't get anyone to come out.
And if you're trying to, well, it wasn't too bad buying a house for us, but because people are laid back, they'll get around to doing things. It's not a quick process, but for everyday life, it's really nice that everybody's kind of chill and there's almost a holiday vibe.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, how different is it? Not hugely different. Obviously there will be differences, and if this is your first time living in a different country, those differences can feel kind of more all-encompassing than they end up being. Does that even make sense? Like when you first move here, everything's so different. It takes a while to get used to it, but once you get used to it and get settled, you realise it's quite similar.
Yeah, and we always say give it 2 years.
At least 2 years.
2 years to get over. You're going to be homesick, and you're going to miss the things, especially people back home.
And don't go, oh, in 2 years' time, then I can reassess and go home. Just be like, it's going to take at least 2 years, and then I can start moving forward. If you go into it with the kind of idea that you could just go back home, it's not really going to work. And you can't just go back home either. It's like the gap closes behind you and things aren't the same when you go back. That's like another topic for another video. Daylight hours. I was asked about daylight hours. Okay, so in the height of summer, sun's rising around about 6 a.m. and setting about 9:15 at night. And in winter...
So that's quite a long day.
And then in winter, it's rising about 7 in the morning and setting about 10 to 6 at night. There is daylight savings, like it does change over an hour, that's why. But yeah, so it's nothing like we experienced in England, where in the depths of winter you literally have 6 hours of daylight in the day, and in the height of summer you literally have 6 hours of darkness at night. It's nothing near that extreme.
I'd say that's similar to South Africa, surely.
The daylight hours here? Yeah, I think so. I was asked, part-time jobs available for students. It's going to be the same as part-time jobs available for students anywhere. There's no special New Zealand part-time jobs available for students. So retail, fast food, I don't know, wherever you could get a part-time job will be the same as anyway. I was asked about bringing pets. Somebody asked about 2 dogs and a parrot. And as I've mentioned in previous videos like this, we didn't bring pets, so we don't have experience to answer that question. But if you ask in the Facebook group, somebody there will have had that experience.
All I know is very expensive.
Yeah, like, very expensive, and it's going to
probably be up to $10,000. I don't know.
Yeah,
what I've heard, like $7,000 just for one dog.
Yeah, it's really expensive, and they'll be in quarantine as well unless you bring them from Australia. I think there's reduced or no quarantine. I was asked about mould and dampness in New Zealand houses. They said, wondering if the problem is actually as severe as they say, if installing gas heating would be the only good solution to achieve coziness. Your house needs to be insulated. We have lived in uninsulated houses and you just cannot heat them, and they are damp. And if you do heat them, because we have single glazing, there's going to be condensation on the windows. So unless you clean that, like squeegee your windows, wipe the windowsills every day, then mold will grow. That just happens. But the leaky house syndrome, people make a big deal out of that. We haven't had any problems.
No, we've been lucky.
But it's not like you'll go look at every house, and every house, you know, there'll be like half of them are problematic and half are not. Like most of them are fit for renting.
Yeah, like our first rental, there's no heating, is that right?
It was a new build,
a
fairly new build. There was no heating.
You'd wake up in the morning and all the windows in the house would be
wet, dripping.
Completely wet. I'd have to go with a squeegee on every single window every day, otherwise all that moisture builds up and then you would have problems.
Yeah, I'll insert a picture here of what the windows look like. Noah used to drive his car on the window to make tracks.
But now we've got a system in this house in the roof which pulls down the dry air from the ceiling overnight.
Yeah.
So we don't have that problem anymore. It dries out the house nicely.
But that's not really going to heat your house.
No, that's not.
It does a little bit. Like in winter, the roof space obviously gets hot from the sun, and we'll put on the ventilation system and it'll pull that hot air down into the house. But you are going to need some kind of heating. Houses have log burners, and that helps to keep the house dry as well. Heat pumps are probably the next most popular.
Yeah.
Heat pumps and log burners probably equal. But we don't find heat pumps really effective. We had one installed in the first house. Not we had. The landlord had in preparation to sell the house. In the first house that we lived, he put a heat pump in. But that house was like a big open kitchen, dining, living area, and then a long corridor of bedrooms. And so it heated it all right. The bedrooms would get cold.
Yeah, no heating in the bedrooms in most of the houses. Eh?
Yeah. But then this house has a heat pump, but because the layout of the house is almost like in a circle, it doesn't work. It really doesn't work, because you just have like a pocket of warm-ish air which keeps dissipating to the cooler parts of the house, and it just didn't get hot. So we put gas central heating in.
Yeah, the gas central heating, I think it's not very common though, is it? Like, not
I
many
don't know
people-
why, because
yeah.
it is thebomb.com. It's amazing.
It's expensive, so that's why.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
It is worth it. So then every room in the house has heat coming into it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you might have the lounge lovely and warm, but then as soon as you leave the lounge, you're freezing in the rest of the house.
So to answer the question, is gas central heating the only good solution? It depends on the house. We feel like it's the best solution, but it's not the easiest because it is expensive, and if you're renting, you obviously can't just go and install it. You do get portable gas heaters, you have the oil-filled radiators, there's lots of different options. We find the gas central heating cheaper to run, don't we? Like, it was because we plan on being in this house indefinitely, it was worth the expense to put it in.
Yeah, well, we were paying the same for just the one heat pump in the lounge, which was only heating the lounge.
Yeah,
We were paying
the same bills.
the same amount of electricity bill. Now we're just paying for gas, but we're heating the whole house, so
And it's comfortable, yeah.
it's
And we don't have it like tropical heat, although some people would like to and wants to wear shorts all year round. But we have it, what do we have it like?
what, 20, 21?
Yeah, we have the battle of the thermostat. I'll be putting
I'd
it
have
down
a
going, put on a
25.
jumper, and he'll be putting it up going, I want to wear shorts.
But majority of places, the older places have wood, like log burners, right?
Yeah, and that keeps your house dry as well as well.
I've never come to grips with that. I didn't like that. Because you
I
have to
don't
buy
like
wood
it.
all the time.
Yeah,
And it's
because
not instant heat, is it? Well, yeah, you wake up in the morning, you have to...
yeah, it's cold, and then you have to go feed the fire and get it going, and you just have to look after it all
I think
the
some
time.
people leave it overnight, I don't know.
Probably, they probably build it up before bed and then... But ain't nobody got that kind of time to feed a fire every 5 minutes. And then you have to like get your wood in and have somewhere to store it, that it stays dry, and I just can't be bothered. And then lots of questions, as always, on leaving friends and family, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, there is no easy answer. It's tough, it's really tough, and you just have to make the decision if that's something you can face. But it's hard, there's no going around it. There's no...
Yeah, I mean, for us also, you have to think of, if you've got children, that's the reason why we did it, you know. Obviously for us it's going to be tough leaving family, but...
Yeah. But if you're wise,
for our
strong
children
enough,
and, for our children and grandchildren, that's the reason we did it.
yeah.
And for ourselves, just to get out of the country.
I'm talking about leaving South Africa.
South
in the
Africa,
first place,
yeah. What's the question?
Leaving friends and family.
Oh, it's friends and family, yeah.
Yeah. It is tough. And your friends become your family. Like, it's so important to really put yourself out there, make the effort to make connections and make friends, because if you don't have family near you, then you rely on your friends as if they're family.
And what we see also, like, it takes years, doesn't it? It takes years to get over that, like, that real hot, bad
Yeah.
loss feeling that inside you. And we see so many people like come over and give it 6 months and then they go back. And
It's not long enough.
no, you just have to stick it out.
Okay, infrastructure. How quick and good is the hospital services? Our experience with hospital services have extended as far as me going to A&E with a nail that went all the way through my foot. Recently Grant broke his foot.
Not a toenail, by the way. A
No,
proper nail.
gross!
Okay,
Well,
go on.
it was pretty gross. It was a big rusty.
4-inch
nail from a pallet. Anyway, going to hospital for that, going to hospital for broken foot, like just to A&E. And as far as actually like going into hospital for a procedure, both of our boys have had supernumerary teeth, like bonus teeth, removed from their palates under general anesthetic. And the wait time can be a few months depending on what you need doing. We didn't pay anything and we were quite happy with the treatment and everything.
Yeah.
So how quick is it? It depends on what you need doing.
And I think it depends on which town you're in, because like in the bigger towns you're going to obviously be a lot busy in the A&Es
And they're going to have a longer wait list for procedures.
Yeah.
But yeah, no complaints. How is the infrastructure and quality of roads? This was something that surprised me when we moved to New Zealand. Like, we moved to Auckland and then travelling out of Auckland and going further south, even an hour or 2 hours, State Highway 1, like the main artery, becomes this little like one lane road, like one lane that way, one lane that way, no pavements. It's just like a country road.
And like in England, like all the motorways are bypass towns, you know, so, so if you're going from up north down to London, you don't go through any towns, you're just on the motorway.
Yeah, the whole way, and it's like a 4-lane.
Yeah, and you're going the you know, the 100 or 70 mile per hour, but here it goes through, you have to slow down through every little town, don't you? So,
but it's beautiful. I mean, driving anywhere, the scenery is beautiful, but yeah, the roads, it's a young country. You're not going to have those big, massive, but I mean, they're not falling apart either. You can get from A to B efficiently. You know, they're proper tarmac roads. So it gets.
But like people from America and that they come through here and then it's just small windy roads a lot of the way. And
yeah, and they're like, what is this place? But I suppose if you're coming from like a third world country where they've got unpaved roads. So it's all relative. But they're fine. And then why we made our choices. We've had a few questions about that. Why did we choose England originally when we left South Africa?
Just because it was the easiest option.
Yeah,
and maybe the only option. We knew we wanted to leave South Africa, and that was what we knew.
And that's what a lot of people were doing. If your grandparents are British, then you qualify for an ancestry visa, which permits you to stay in England for 4 years, after which you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, and after a year of that you can apply for citizenship. So that's what we did. So that's why we chose England, because they'd have us. It was the easiest option to get a visa.
Yeah. And we knew, well, we didn't know it was like a stepping stone, just it was going to be better than South Africa with the crime and corruption. Yeah,
we knew, I think moving there in the first place, we knew we wouldn't be there forever.
Yeah.
But it was just the easiest way to get out of South Africa. And neither of us really travelled. It was the first time I'd ever left the country. And I mean, Grant was born in Germany, but he moved to South Africa when he was 3. So it's kind of the first time you'd ever left the country either. So it's all new and exciting, and the world's your oyster. We were young, it was an adventure. We weren't really being intentional about the rest of our lives at that point. So that's why we chose England. Do you think you would have moved to New Zealand instead? I don't think we're really ready for it then.
I don't know. Looking back, I do wish we had. We'd be, just financially, we'd be further ahead, like for our age and situation.
Yeah, because immigrating sets you back like 10 years financially, and we've done it twice.
It costs a lot to immigrate and start over again, and especially when you're starting a new job right from the beginning, bottom of the salary run. Yeah,
so changing careers sets you back, immigrating sets you back, and sometimes we do both at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the only thing I would say is, although did we even consider?
No, we didn't.
Hey?
It was the done
It
thing.
wasn't-
So many people were doing
It wasn't really an option.
England. They were just going to England because that was the easiest option. I don't even know what the visa opportunities were or anything in 1999.
No, we didn't even look into it.
No.
Yeah, strange.
Young and foolish, you do silly things. The other question was, what factors prompt you to settle in Taranaki rather than other less populated areas in New Zealand, such as Nelson or Bay of Plenty? I do not think Bay of Plenty is less populated than Taranaki. The reason we chose Taranaki, okay, before we moved to New Zealand, we were adamant we didn't want to live in Auckland. We just felt, why would you move so far to a brand new country and then settle in the most expensive and most populated area? Like, that was not for us. But lo and behold, that's where the job was. We didn't have a choice. So the whole time we lived in Auckland, we couldn't make ends meet. We couldn't even get ends to wave at each other. But we were just like, we need to get out of this place. It's not for us, it's too crowded, and let's go before we put down too deep roots.
Yeah.
But we're like, where do we go? We didn't really know enough about the country or the different areas to even make a choice. So my friend in Pukekohe came over and she told us that she was moving back home to where she'd grown up, which was a little village in Taranaki. And so we started asking her questions, what's it like and what is it near and what's it about? And it ticked every box on our list. We had like a mental list of what we wanted. We wanted to be peaceful, countryside, not a lot of people, but near to town for shopping and near to a big city for the airport and that sort of thing, and near to the beach and, you know, decent schools and all these things, and it just ticked every box. So we drove down to
I'm sure there would be other towns all over New Zealand which would have
but we
ticked
just
the
didn't
box.
know about them or didn't know how to find them.
So only it's because our friend already had lived there and knew the place. And
Yeah, that just put it on our radar basically.
Yeah.
So we drove down to check it out and see is it somewhere that we could see ourselves living, and we loved it and decided to move down.
And also because our boys are friends with their boys.
Yeah, so that's a bonus that I knew I'd have a friend in the same
Yeah,
village. And
otherwise you're moving
kids can
to
go,
a town or where you know absolutely no one. So at least we're moving to a place where we knew at least one family.
Yeah, exactly. Like we could have chosen any of the villages around here. We like the whole area, but this one just was the most suitable for us, for the things that we wanted. I mean, there were other things on our list as well, and it just appealed that if we were in the same village, then our boys could like walk to their friend's house and we could hang out together and not have to drive them. So that is why we chose Taranaki. Those are all the questions I have today, so I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to join the Facebook group and ask your questions there. I will continue to make these videos if there's a call for it, but I feel like the questions have really tailed off because I feel like we've pretty much covered everything at this stage.
The Facebook group is pretty good too, because there's people who are busy in the process or actually have just finished the process of moving, so they're a bit more up to date with what needs to be doing to be able to answer the questions.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be doing a series of videos interviewing people who've made the move and asking them what their experience has been like, so look out for those videos hopefully coming fairly soon. I have one in mind.
Very quite cool, eh?
Yeah.
To hear from people who've just come over to hear what their experiences are.
Yeah, because everyone's experience is different, and like I said, we only have our own experience to talk about really or go from, so it'd be nice to get a few different perspectives. So thank you for watching, hope this was helpful. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.
See ya.